In this video, we are going to look at the concept of group 1 elements, their reactivity for chemistry. After going through this video, I guarantee you guys that you understand the reactivity involved in group 1 elements for chemistry. So ensure you stay to the very end of this video. Alright, okay, having known that, let's go into the details of the video. Okay, now let's begin by, remember, looking at group 1 elements. Alright, so let's begin by outlining elements in group 1. Okay, so elements in group 1, they include, we have our lithium. Alright, so the short form is lithium, and we have our sodium. The short form is this. Okay, then we have our potassium. The short form is K. Alright, then we have our rubidium. Okay, now the short form of rubidium is RB. Okay, then we have our calcium. Alright, the short form of calcium is CS. And lastly, we have our potassium. The short form is FR. Alright, now these are elements in group 1 of the periodic table. As we all know, their reactivity increases down the group. So reactivity of group 1 elements increases as you go down the group. Okay, now for your MCQ chemistry question, you might be asked, if you're asked what's the most reactive metal. All right, as you know, these elements are metals, right? So you might be asked what's the most reactive metal, and you know that group 1 elements are the most reactive, and their reactivity increases for down the group. Okay, so if you ask what's the most reactive metal in the periodic table, your answer should be calcium. Alright, so the answer will be what? Calcium. The short form is what? FR. Okay, so this should be your answer. Calcium is the most reactive metal in the periodic table. Okay, and again, as we all know that alkali metals, because group 1 elements are called what? Alkali metals. Alright, so they form ionic compounds with non-metal. For instance, when sodium reacts with oxygen, you will have sodium oxide. Alright, when potassium reacts with chlorine, you have potassium chloride. When sodium reacts with chlorine, you have sodium chloride. Alright, so these are ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds. So there will be more about ionic compounds as a separate video. Okay, so just know this basic information about it. Now, having known this, again, now note again that group 1 elements are very reactive because they have 1 electron in the atomic shell. Okay, let me show you. Let me wipe this place. Let me show what I mean by that. Now, when I say that they have 1 electron in their atomic shell, for instance, let's draw the atomic structure of lithium. Lithium has 3 atomic number. Alright, so the atomic structure of lithium will be, this is the first shell, this is the nucleus, and this is the second shell. So this is the electron. As you can see, in this second shell, we have only 1 electron attached to it as the atomic shell electron. Now let's draw that of sodium. Okay, because after lithium, you see sodium is the first shell. This is the second shell. When sodium has 11 atomic number, so the second shell will be completely filled with 8 electrons. Okay, remaining 1. So the 1 will come and be attached at the third shell. Alright, as you can see, we have both 1 electron at the atomic shell. The same thing will be applicable to potassium when you draw the atomic structure. Okay, so when I say that they have one electron in the atomic shell, which makes them very reactive, this is basically what I mean. Alright, so don't be confused with it. Okay, having known this, now let's look at properly the reactivity of group 1 elements. Alright, let's look at what happens when they react with water. Let's wipe this. Okay, now note that when group 1 elements or metals are put in water, they react vigorously to produce hydrogen gas and metal hydroxide. Alright, now for instance, this is sodium reacts with water. Okay, when they react with water, it's going to produce sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. Okay, so when they are put in water, they react vigorously to produce hydrogen gas. Now I need to balance this equation. Let's balance it. We have learned about balancing of equation. Now we have hydrogen. How many hydrogen ions? We have 2 at the left. We have 3 at the right. This one plus this 2, 3. We need to balance hydrogen at the left. So to do that, let's add 2 atoms here. Okay, we now have 4 at the left and we have 3 at the right. To balance the hydrogen on the right, now we need to add 1 more hydrogen, okay, at the right. So we're going to add 2 here. So we now have this 2 is affecting both sodium, hydrogen, and oxygen. So we now have 4, 2 here plus this 2. We now make it 4. So hydrogen is now balanced. Now let's balance sodium. Sodium, we have 1 atom of sodium, we have 2 atoms of sodium, so we add 2 here. Sodium is now balanced. What of oxygen? We have 2 atoms of oxygen because this 2 here is affecting this oxygen here. So we have 2 atoms of oxygen and we also have 2 here, so because this 2 also affecting this oxygen here. So this equation is now balanced. So this is what you have when sodium reacts with water. Okay, so it's going to produce hydrogen gas and metal hydroxide. Alright, so this is basically a strong base. Alright, so it will basically give you a strong base, sodium hydroxide. Okay, had it been potassium reacted with water, we would have had potassium hydroxide, which is also what a strong base. Okay, so that's the reactivity of group 1 elements with water. Now let's look at another reaction of it. This number 1, when they react with chlorine. Now note that group 1 metals react vigorously when heated in chlorine gas to form white metal chloride salt. Okay, now for instance, let's say sodium reacts with chlorine gas. Okay, the output, we are going to have the output to be sodium chloride. Okay, now let's balance this equation. We have 2 atoms of chlorine at the left and 1 atom at the right. So to balance it, we put 2 atoms here. So we now have 2 atoms of chlorine at the right and at the left. So chlorine is now balanced. What of sodium? Sodium is not balanced. We have 2 atoms at the right and 1 atom at the left. So to balance sodium here, I add 2. So sodium is now balanced. So this equation is now what? Balanced. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to have when a group 1 element or metal reacts vigorously when heated in chlorine gas. Alright, had it been potassium reacted, it would have been potassium chloride, which will give us what? Our common salt as well. Okay, now lastly, let's look at the reactivity of group 1 elements with oxygen. What will be the output? Now note that when group 1 elements or metals react with oxygen, they will form a metal oxide. This type of oxide will be different. Note that this type of oxide they will form will be different depending on the group 1 metal. Okay, now for instance, when lithium reacts with oxygen, you're going to have lithium oxide. When sodium reacts with oxygen, we're going to have sodium oxide. Alright, when potassium reacts with oxygen, we are going to have potassium peroxide, or we can also have potassium superoxide. the formula is this. Okay, so when potassium reacts with oxygen, we can either have potassium peroxide or potassium superoxide. Okay, so these are the three main reactions of group 1 elements, their reactivity. Okay, so take note of what we just looked at. Firstly, we looked at when they react with water, they will form hydrogen gas and metal hydroxide. Secondly, we looked at when they react with chlorine gas vigorously, when heated, they will form common salts. And we then looked at their reaction with oxygen, okay, then forming an oxide of metal, okay, a metallic oxide. So this is basically what you have to know about the reaction or reactivity of group 1 elements. Now note again that group 1 metals or elements are much more reactive than transition metals. Okay, now let's go into class here. This is the basic information you have to know about reactivity of group 1 elements. Hope you learned something interesting from this video. Now if you are new to the channel, ensure you check the description of this video below. You see link to our Telegram channel. Click on it and join the Telegram channel for instant notifications. Also ensure you subscribe to this channel by hitting the subscribe button for more videos like this. Like, share, and comment on this video. Tell me how you feel for what I learned from this class. If you seem to have any specific question to ask, feel free to leave your question in the comment section below and I'll be sure to give you a response. Alright, so that's it for this class, guys. Now click on the end screen above and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.